Welcome back to Viewer Discretion. I'm Mina Kimes. I'm joined, as always, by David Dennis Jr., who would never put his dirty feet on the table. They might not even be dirty. I don't know. What was more upsetting? Boy Cavalier putting his dirty feet on the table, or those fly aliens spitting acid all over Tootles and melting him down?
It was not even the feet on the table as much as the spreadness of it. I feel like it was just like, this is the evolution of the man spreading. This is like he was born from a generation of man
When he
spreading.
started crawling on the table too. Or last week I said that I felt like he wasn't chilling enough.
Yes.
But I will say he is nailing the annoying, oh my God, everybody, you hate this guy aspect of the role. As the last few weeks, we are going to be discussing Alien Earth, episode 6. Then in the second half of this podcast, we're going to talk about a show that we both watched called The Paper on Peacock. So if you watched that, listen to it because there will be spoilers. So don't listen to it until you've watched it. But yes, two very different shows.
Yes.
Although Alien is kind of funny in certain moments, largely when there's incompetence, which was a continued theme. Last week, it was the Maginot. This week, it was a combination of synths and scientists just being very chill in the lab. Somebody needs to go into Neverland or whatever or this world, this universe, and teach people lab safety.
Yeah, but it kind of tracks, right? It kind of tracks with the way... if you think about the way the world is so nonchalant with so much of what is going on with pollution and things like that, and just the way that in 100 years it's going to be worse, right? And so this natural evolution of just we're just going to rip out the trays and we're going to eat food in front of the alien things. I just feel like that's just a natural state of where we're going to be in 100 years.
I think it's at least defensible because Tootles, R.I.P., is a kid.
Yeah.
And so a kid would make these kinds of dumb decisions. So we'll get to that. First thing I want to talk about is kind of the Wendy plot line in this episode because Marcy. Sorry. Yes. Marcy. My bad. Yeah. That's a big storyline, which is her kind of reclaiming her name. At the end of last week, we talked about how Wendy was all of the synths, the hybrids. Sorry, they're not synths, hybrids. Different. Hybrids are the synths with the human consciousness. We're starting to push back, rebel, become unpredictable. But Wendy has been kind of the unknown. It's been unclear which direction she's going to go in. And it kind of remained unclear in this one because it opens with Boy Cavalier's talking about Wendy because he has this thing where he's I don't know if he's taping a podcast or he's narrating Peter Pan. Becoming an adult. We see her talking to now at that point he was kind of a preteen xenomorph.
I was just thinking about Boy Cavalier and a podcast. Maybe he got his trillions because he's inherited Barstool in 100 years.
Boy Cavalier's podcast. Do you think it would do numbers? Maybe in that planet.
Yes.
Or in this iteration of Earth. So she is talking to it. The xenomorph, and Kirsh and Hermit are watching her. So something that kind of is a catalyst for her, I wouldn't say turning, flipping, whatever, is in the previous episode, Nibs, who's the redheaded hybrid, freaked out, and this time she was pregnant. She was clearly traumatized by the tower incident. So I forget the guy's name, Adam Ein, the Boy Cavalier's right-hand creep, basically orders the scientists to reset her, right, to before the incident. And Mr. Sylvia, who is probably the most human of the humans, says no. His wife agrees to do it. They split, basically, because of that. So she resets Nibs, and there's a great moment, too, where there's an interesting part where Adam is talking to the scientists, and he says, this unit is going to be smiling and waving unit, by the way, calls it from the stage 3 weeks from now, and information architects of the 5 are going to be talking to her. So you get a little bit of a kind of, this is something's going to happen, a bit, I don't know, it's they're going to show off these hybrids. So this really upsets Wendy when she figures it out. And then she has this conversation with Hermit where, he's like, well, we're going to leave, right? And she's like, well, no, I like it here. And she also tells him, he says, it was a mistake bringing these specimens. They're killers. They just eat and survive. And she says, I don't know. So there's a lot there. I guess I want to get what is at this point in the show, what is your read on Wendy and her motivations and where she's at in all of this? Because it feels still all very up in the air.
It feels like she's a child. It feels like we forget that she is a child, but she is a child that's moving without a plan, who we know she's just trying to like do the right thing, it seems like. And the thing with Nibs, I think, was like her moral standing, right? She's connected to she's connected to the xenomorph, she's connected to her brother, and I think she's kind of going on those connections more so than anything. I don't think she has a plan.
Yeah, I also don't think we know where her sympathies lie per se. I mean, we know she loves her brother, and I think that's very clear. But one thing that I kind of think is interesting, we don't know what her and the xenomorph are saying to each other.
Yeah.
She don't tell anyone. It's
Yeah.
never. So she says to him, "I think this one might be good or could be good," in like a little smiley way. And when she said that, I was thinking like,
Yeah, like what's the conversation?
what? Yeah,
Yeah.
'cause we just see her
Yeah.
doing, little chitters to it. She confronts Sylvia as well, and that's what I kind of alluded to when she says, "Don't call me Wendy," and I don't want to be a human if it means killing things. And I don't know, like I guess when I read the question of like what are her motivations, it's important because she's the main character of the show, and I think we empathize with her. We like her. She is likable. She is meant to be likable. But Hermit, you would think her end game was leaving this place and going to live with her brother, but I don't think that's the end game she has in mind for herself. We just don't know what that is.
She just seems resistant to it. Like it seems like when her brother is going to seemingly try to rescue her, I'm not sure she's going to want to go with him. The xenomorph thing is interesting because also is this xenomorph growing slower than it seems like the other ones have? Like it seems like they've popped. I don't know if there's like something that's happening in that unit that's making it grow slower, but we get a really creepy, skinny xenomorph who
so creepy. And
right.
It's actually like worse when it's in tweener stage.
Yeah,
like,
which also is kind of xenomorphically, maybe they're like the same age as Wendy. Like maybe there's, like they're both kind of kids right now,
Interesting.
And I wonder if that's part of what they're talking about, just being, like just being kids, learning their new bodies. Like there's part of that.
Do you think there is any validity? Because Hermit, like I said, he says they're killers. They eat. Like you and I have been talking about how the different aliens seem to have different motivations. With T. Ocellus, the goat, being the most interesting, and it's unclear, right? We're going to talk about that, of course. But Wendy disputes the idea because the whole Alien franchise, you just think xenomorphs are there to replicate, kill, replicate, kill.
Right.
Wendy is, forgive me if I'm wrong, but she is questioning that.
Yeah.
Is there any chance she's right and these xenomorphs aren't just here to propagate and conquer?
So this is interesting because like there is a possibility, like what we know about the xenomorphs in the Alien franchise is they murder pretty much exclusively humans and all the people who look human, right? Yeah. We've seen that through the movies. And there's, supposedly no rhyme or reason and all that stuff. And if there is a connective sort of hive mind in these things, it may be possible that whatever is happening now is what informs how the xenomorphs have moved through the future.
Great point, because this is a prequel. Yeah, right. Yeah. Right, like maybe, but I don't know. I mean,
they are from what we understand, they're just kind of killers. But who, like, because we see this thing pop out, and we have seen more sort of humanity and communication, and like cooperation with the xenomorphs and Wendy than we've seen, I guess, since with like they had a baby. I still do not know the story about the
right, the Sigourney Weaver. Yeah. No, it's a really interesting point that how chronology might inform like what's come. And it also parallels what is the general theme of the show, which is what does it mean to be human? What does it mean? Like, this show is all about humans, hybrids, synth cyborgs questioning who they are, what it all means. That to me was like the first instance of somebody saying, well, what if they're not what we think? Maybe they actually are capable of. Hermit, it's a really fascinating conversation. Hermit's like, well, we have systems and communities, and she is suggesting that they might actually not understand
Right. Yeah.
what the aliens are doing too. So yeah, it's interesting. I think her as a vessel for that question and potentially a catalyst for something that happens with the xenomorphs, to your
Yeah.
point, is interesting to me. She's a wild card right now. I truly, like, this could go in a number of ways. Hermit is just like a normal, nice
Yeah.
dude, All right, so before we get to the kind of biggest plot line, which is what happens with Slightly and Tootles and ultimately Mr. Sylvia, I do want to address the Cavalier Yutani meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Fascinating, right? So
Yeah.
we talked about this with the feet. So Boy Cavalier has been negotiating with Yutani. They have an arbitration which is in itself fascinating, right? Because there's no governments, there's no laws per se, but this arbitrator says he was appointed by the five, and we've learned these five corporations basically control everything. So they show up at this conference room in the middle of nowhere, and Boy Genius shows up, they show his feet first, his dirty feet, puts them on the table. He calls her honey. It's pretty disgusting.
It is. It kind of, when I'm watching this, it made me think, maybe because it's the season, but I was like, this seems like two NFL, like Jerry Jones and another owner this is how they like settle their issues.
Well, much like the NFL, like it's sort of contingent on these rich guys agreeing to stuff, all going. And I'm watching this thinking, like, what happens if one of them just attacks the other?
Yeah.
How does this play out? This is why, not to get into like political philosophy here, but this is why like oligarchies are like why you want to have like actual laws and systems of governance, because they negotiate it, but I'm watching this thinking, like, who's going to enforce any of this? Really, also it's fake, right? Because so ultimately she offers him $20 billion and then to get the specimens back, he says, well, there's a quarantine period, it's the law, because okay, the law then matters. Then she offers 50 billion and he says no. But like, clearly neither side is actually going to adhere to this.
And then he just kind of decides it. He's just kind of like 20 billion it is, and that's the end of the conversation. Like there was nothing. That was the end of the conversation.
What did you think of the fact that Morrow was there?
Yeah.
So we're going to get to the conversation with him and Kirsh in a second. Morrow knows that Boy Cavalier sabotaged the Maginot. He saw the tape of him talking to Petrovich. He doesn't say anything.
Yeah. That was interesting to me. I was really intrigued by that. Like, we've talked about this. We're going to get to the elevator conversation. These are two guys who have who are just keeping their things close to the chest, right? And it's so intriguing because the whole time I was waiting for Morrow, and he doesn't change his expression, doesn't change it. I'm waiting for him to tell us, to say something to jump, because he's so loyal to Yutani. I thought that this would be something he says, but at the end of the conversation, he says what our plan is to just disrupt them from the inside and cause chaos. And maybe that's just the end game. Maybe he wants that more than he wants to return the species. Because also he wanted to kill Boy Cavalier. Like you said, he wanted to be there to kill this dude. And he was there and he didn't kill him. I know it probably would have been harder to do or whatever, but Morrow's just like silence and presence there was really interesting.
I think your theory is probably the most likely, because it's the only explanation for him not revealing that Cavalier sabotaged it. Because I think if he revealed that, there would be they would try to come to some sort of legal agreement or whatever, she would bring that to the arbitrator or whatever. He just lets it play out, which is again the theme between him and Kirsh. And I think in the interest, like you said, of getting on that island. He says let's destabilize it in Exville, which is interesting too, because he's still and Yutani does knows this. He is sidetracking or parallel tracking the plan with Slightly, which ends up working out. Oh, well, not yet, but I just found that fascinating, because the whole time I was waiting for him to pipe up, and he was just stood there. Then he gets in the elevator, and we get Alien versus Predator. I can't even use that analogy. What is the proper? Is it Allen versus Lamar Sunday Night Football?
I'm sticking with Brother Mouzone and Omar from The Wire, just sitting there getting their bars off, just a freestyle battle for the ages, just nonstop.
I had to write down some of them. So when Morrow says, when Kirsh gets in the elevator, I was literally like,
Yes.
The sit up meme.
Which, by the way, there's no reason for them to be in the elevator together except for them,
I don't care.
except people to be like, let's let them just talk for 5 minutes.
Let them cook.
Right.
When Morrow says, "What's it like working for a company that made you obsolete?" Which is a double whammy because
Yeah.
one, it's an insult. Two, he's saying like, "I know what your little
Yeah.
project."
Yeah.
I went, "Whoo!" And then when Kirsch, when he says he'd like to get one of those or something, and Kirsch says, "A child?" I went, "Whoa! Whoa!" Or a body that isn't so
Yeah.
sad.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. Boom, boom.
Yeah.
Child, like, because he knows
Yeah. Yeah.
about Morrow's daughter. That
Yeah.
took me out.
Yes. It was like, I kept thinking about what's the meme of the dude who freestyles and he's kind of leans back and all those homeboys are around, like the gif of that.
Whoa!
Right.
Yeah, that they always have the guy in the front going,
Right.
and then he calls him an old toy at the
Yes.
end.
Yeah.
So Kirsch, similarly to Morrow, just watching everything happen.
Yeah.
It's so interesting
Mhm.
because the show is so deliberate about telling us that these guys know what's
Yeah.
happening. Morrow knows that Boy Cavalier sabotaged the mission. Kirsch knows everything that's going on with Slightly. And he just watches it go down on the ship. We'll get to what it goes down, but while that's happening, Tootles dying, Slightly, and Mr. Sylvia, Kirsch is like literally watching it on an iPad.
Do you think Kirsch sent Tootles there, like called Tootles specifically to set this all in motion?
I don't know, because the way it went down was so dumb, which is like,
Yeah. It just seemed like it was an odd call. I mean, I guess the kids do it all the time, but it seemed like he called the one kid who he kind of knew would go and do it by himself. And maybe he didn't
right.
know.
That's true.
Maybe he didn't know what the end game would be, but I think there's something where there's there is, I think, genuine intrigue and interest about what will happen. I think he just wants to see what will happen. Like he's conducting experiments. So I think because he said in there, it's not at the scientific. He says the scientific method, right?
Yeah.
And I think.
Ooh, so maybe Tootles is just another one. Like he wants to test the hybrids.
Yeah,
maybe he wants to prove that they suck because they're the new model.
Yeah, but maybe just like, or once again, knock them out one by one. But I think he's like doing things and putting them in motion and just seeing what happens. Not necessarily he knows about Slightly in the plan, which we speculate that he might, but we don't know exactly he may not know where this is going. But I think he's just interested in setting things in motion to see what happens next.
I think that's possible. I think you're right. I mean, we sure as hell know he don't care about, retaining the specimens, apparently, because he wouldn't do any of this, and he certainly wouldn't let it play out the way it is. Yeah, he's another one where it's really hard to pin down.
Yeah.
But if you think about the show as like being other than the billionaires are in it to make as much money as possible, and if everyone else is just in it for survival, maybe now I'm starting to like this theory that he wants to kill off the hybrids.
Yeah,
I actually kind of like it because
also he's got if this thing is happening in 3 weeks, 6 weeks, or whatever, it's like he's got 3 to 6 weeks to not be obsolete. I guess if what Morrow is saying is true.
Ooh, right? I'm starting to like this theory. Yeah,
yeah, like that. Like this, they're gonna make a big presentation that says that he's old. He's no toy.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, so let's talk about everything that's Slightly and all of that, the stuff that happens.
And maybe the elevator conversation, Morrow that's part of his destabilization. Maybe he got into Kirsch's head a little bit, calling him old toy and saying, this is
I don't think he knows the extent of. Maybe I think that your theory is Kirsch wants to get in that island because he wants to do it himself.
Mm-hmm.
Or probably Morrow
wants to get
yeah. I think that's right, and I think I'm intrigued by the theory that Kirsch wants to kill off the hybrids.
Yes,
but he clearly doesn't give. I don't think Kirsch. I think if Boy Cavalier was on the edge of a cliff, he'd kick him off. So I Kirsch is. I mean, Morrow and him are really similar in that they're just so cold and clearly don't respect anyone else on the show.
Right.
But with, Morrow has been pretty clear that like he wants to get the specimens back. That's all he cares about.
Mm.
Kirsch is more of the unknown to me.
Yeah.
Okay, so what happens back at Neverland? Slightly's freaking out because, Morrow's threatened to kill his family.
Mhm.
Smee walks up to him. The actor who plays Smee is leaning so hard into the kid thing.
I thought for sure I was watching him be so joyful. And first of all, he's doing such a great job. He's been like one of the best. Like I'm going to be
comic relief.
yeah,
It's needed comic relief on the show.
yes. And I thought he was going to be the first one to die. Just absolutely, just like all of that, like kindness and like youthful joy. I thought they were going to break our hearts by killing him.
Being a grown up sucks.
Right.
Slightly is his eyes set on Hermit as the bait for the Xeno. He shows up in Hermit's room creepily. Hermit's working on a map because he's trying to get out. And he's like, I want to show you something. And Hermit gets interrupted by a patrol. So Slightly's freaking out until Isaac, aka Tootles, shows up. So the backstory there is, as you discussed, Kirsch told Isaac, hey, I'm gone, do these experiments. Or Slightly, it's when Mr. Sylvia shows up. Sorry, the Tootles things happen separately. So it just sets it in motion. Tootles, aka Isaac, goes in.
Mm-hmm.
He's feeding them very casually, I might add.
It was like a Mr. Bean episode.
You could hear like the Benny Hill music playing in the background as this idiot kid is walking around, just like, so he somehow breaks the window. And if there was sabotage, that would probably be it. Trying to feed the fly alien, which is one of the, so now we got all 5 species accounted for. We've got Xenomorph, Teocellus, the weird, creepy
slug thing.
The things that go in the water.
Yeah.
The fly. I think there's one more.
There's one more. That's one. Well, is that the one that sucked the? No, that was the leech too. That sucks all your blood out.
Leech, yeah. Okay. Well, the fly hornet's nest one. He goes in there and the door breaks, and then he tries to just not kind of prop open the door and feed whatever's in there. And Teocellus, who is currently in the body of a lamb, decides to kick it off and knocks him down. Incredible moment. He gets trapped in there. 2 waspy fly things come out and squirt just horrific death acid on him. Before we get back to the Sylvia Tootles part of this, what was your feeling just watching this whole scene? Because we talked about the Maginot and just like how hilarious it was watching these like incompetent scientists and why it was important that they were incompetent and why it made sense. Did you feel the same way watching this, where it's like, okay, it makes sense because he's a kid.
It's a dumb kid. It's a kid doing stuff, like it's my 12-year-old spilled all the chicken from dinner last night. So like that's just what kids do. Also, we'll say for everybody watching this in the gym with headphones, 0 out of 10 experience. Not fun to watch, to have it all up in your ear, watching the screen while you're trying to get a little workout in. It was very gut wrenching.
Again, props to the props department of the show and just the effects, because everything's looked really gross and realistic. Like the melting face stuff and the whatever the hell was coming out of those flies. Really disgusting and really gruesome. Okay, so I didn't care about Tootles.
I'd honestly kind of forgotten about him until he got the call to go in.
Right. The only thing I remember was that he was like kind of a pleaser and wanted to be like scientist on his own. Okay, so Hermit, there's a scene where Mr. Sylvia is packing up. Hermit goes and asks him if Wendy is safe, and this is important, communicates via typing because he knows they're being watched. No, she's not. Get her off. Here's the boat. And he also turns off tracking on her. That's probably going to matter at some point. Then he sees that what happened to Tootles, or he sees that Tootles is, something off going on with him. This is where he runs into Slightly, and they go into the lab. So this actually was more upsetting to me than the Tootles death, because Mr. Sylvia is an adult.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. If you... Bro. What do people not understand about all of these aliens being just unbelievable killing machines?
Yeah.
If I see a body, I am getting the hell out of there. I am locking out. I'm certainly not going in myself.
Yeah.
Trying to physically drag it out.
I think they were establishing him as this like bleeding heart. So maybe that's where that's where we're getting, like this guy who's compassionate above all, but at the same time, it's one of those things where you peek your head in and say there's a dead android. They can fix them. They can fix them. You can ship them back on Amazon Prime and get a whole brand new one coming back. It is a whole new cyborg body that you could use. I don't need to do all that.
Slightly sees his opening. Mm-hmm. He unlocks all of the aliens, gets them open, and then he locks Mr. Sylvia in. He says, I have a family. Mr. Sylvia says, I got a family too, right before the face hugger jumps on him. Then slightly manages to get the face hugger on Mr. Sylvia into a vent to hide from the flies. I have no idea what his plan is for getting that thing.
Yeah. I don't know how we're going to get it out the island. Maybe Morrow will pop up there. Who knows? But yes.
Episode ends with Tia Sellis in the sheep, just kind of regarding all of it and then staring straight at the camera as music plays, of course.
We got some good music. We had good music, the early transition. I forgot to look up what it was.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. It was
before the meeting.
British that British rap. What's his name? He's a shoot. I know, I forgot to write it down too. I like that song. It's a British rap. Anyways, they did have some good music in this episode.
Yeah. I was like, we got a good music. Which I want to take a slight detour. I want to talk about art. Like, I've been thinking about the music.
All J. It's all J, right? It was all. Okay. Is that who it was? Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
I've been thinking a little bit about art and like in this world, this alien world, right? Like they're watching Ice Age from 100 years ago. Morrow has like jazz music from the 50s, and I wonder if there's an interesting commentary here about this is the state of like there's no new art being made in this time because like I don't know, because look at where we are now. It's all AI. It's all like people trying to like manufacture art and do these things. And I wonder where the state of art is. Like even on a meta level, the art is from like the 90s. And the art that we see in there, what they watch, what they talk about is from a time past. And I'm just, just like a minor commentary of the dystopian world of Alien that they're doing here.
I think it's more likely that Noah Hawley just likes rock from the 90s. However, I do think your point is you bring up something that I have been thinking about and is, I think, a corollary of that, which is what is anyone living for here?
Yes, yeah.
Right? Yeah. Like there's this moment where like we see no joy or sweetness or fun. There's just no one's happy. There's no leisure.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you got the rich people doing their weirdo parties, but like
which were parties from the past, like they were.
Yeah, it's true. It's good. It's true. The
clearly
other
there's no Love Island season 300 that they.
A bombshell has entered the villa. It's Xenomorph wearing a bikini. There's a scene where the soldiers are with Hermit and they're just like, yo, we're getting paid and we're alive. Stop trying to mess this up.
Yeah.
And I'm watching that, who are, they're not major characters, but I'm watching that thinking like, this is the life that you want to live. Like you're living on an island. Like it's just, it's pretty bleak, I think. And I think a lot of this is about what would happen if, like, where things are going if corporations just run everything and everything is for profit and there's no like joy in this world.
Yeah.
Again, I felt the ending felt a little unearned. I mean, I love Tia Sellis and I love they're constantly showing things from his feels like a diva to me point of view where that imply a level of intention and planning and manipulation. But it's like you didn't, other than them kicking the door that one time. Well, okay, so let's actually, so this is one of my kind of unanswered questions here, like outstanding questions. A lot of it is just, we've already discussed, what is Kirsch's game? What does Morrow want? What side is Wendy on? But I think the Tia Sellis alien remains really intriguing to me, not just in intention, but in also like execution. So you and I discussed was she trying to distract or help the scientist? I keep thinking Chibozo because somebody put that in our mentions. So the Noah Hawley, I think, said, no, that was a distraction. So we know Tia Sellis is trying to sow chaos. Did you, coming out of this episode, feel like there's a coherent plan here, or?
I don't. I still think, I think the plan is, it just feels like we're trying to get to the most powerful person.
Yeah, I think that's
We're just trying to like get into the eyeball of the most powerful person or thing, or like species or something. Like I'm just gonna sow chaos, and eventually I will be eye to eye with Boy Cavalier or somebody. Like to me, it just feels like we're in a situation where the season ends and there's an eyeball in Boy Cavalier who's like the new
That's gonna
trillionaire.
look so nasty when that happens. You're right. It's definitely feels like that's where it's going when she cased him. I love the scene, by the way, where after the aliens, the fly aliens, spit all over Tootles. TSS is like, all right, my work is done, and then goes.
Right. Just goes.
Okay, on that note, power rankings. I promised them. All right, I got to put my girl, T.S. Ellis.
Yes.
None of this happens if she doesn't kick that door down.
There you go.
Things are proceeding to plan. The lab is in chaos. She's getting out of there.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that door was unlocked. I don't think it was. They didn't show that, so I don't think slightly.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah.
Morrow at 2, Kirsh at 3. The two big boys.
The elevator scene. It's amazing. Like in a show that has all this like adrenaline and like the times I've yelled at the screen are when those two have been together and shared a moment.
Morrow goes on top of Kirsh because it seems like he's going to get what he wants, which is to get on that island soon. Yeah. And also the slightly thing worked. Kirsh, I still don't understand what his motivations are, so it's hard to know if he's winning. But okay, I'm gonna put Wendy next because Wendy is undergoing puberty in front of us, but I don't know. I feel like she's discovered her, like, I wouldn't say it's the hero's journey, but her kind of figuring out what she wants and her place in the world seems to be at the forefront of this. And at the moment, she seems to be the most capable and competent of the hybrids. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna put. I know he's going down soon, but Cavalier next, just because he one-upped Yutani in a pretty big way.
Yeah.
We'll go Hermit next.
Okay.
Because he avoided
Cavalier. The spread legs thing, really, you're giving him a little bit too much grace with spreading the legs there and the feet on the thing.
Okay, and then Yutani at 7.
Yeah.
I didn't mean slightly. I didn't even rank slightly. I guess I'll put slightly here because I don't.
The worst liar of all time. Just could not.
The actor's really good.
Yes. Yeah.
I gotta put Sylvia at the bottom because her husband just died. He's about to die. He's face hugged, and the hybrids are all turning against her. I don't think this is gonna end well for her.
Yeah.
Yutani, I put near the bottom because she just got completely wrecked.
Owned by a guy who seems like a real idiot, and you gotta come better than that, Yutani.
I'll do power rankings again next week. I feel like there's going to be some rapid shifts.
There you go. Yes.
2 episodes of the season.
Where's Huda? Huda at the bottom or no?
I don't know. Huda got that NFL money.
I know. Unbelievable.
Okay. The paper. So for those who don't know, this is a show that's a spin-off off of The Office. It is on Peacock. Takes place in Toledo. It's about a newspaper called the Toledo Truth Teller. And basically it's a very bumbling, incompetent newspaper. A young toilet paper salesman who also works for the company comes and takes it over. Played by, his name is Ned Sampson. He's played by Domhnall Gleeson, who I like. I've seen in a lot of stuff, I think. So before we get to the show and how we felt about it, what's your history with The Office? Because this is it's a lot like The Office. And it's in the Office universe, but it also is very, very similar tonally, structurally to that show.
So The Office, immediately when The Office came out, it was appointment viewing for me. I was a Steve Carell fan, wanted to see everything that he was a part of. So I remember distinctly watching the pilot episode of The Office in college. I think it was a freshman, and buying the season 1 DVD because you had disposable income as a college kid from time to time, and was pretty much locked all the way into The Office for a few years. I know in grad school, we huddled around the TV and watched the wedding episode with Jim and Pam. I remember watched the Super Bowl episode with the fire alarm and all that stuff. So I was pretty much in the Office world. The seasons after Steve Carell left were kind of tough watches. The last season was not good. I thought the show, my hot take is that Jim and Pam never worked for me. And after they got married, didn't do much for me. Don't understand how Jim picks Pam over Rashida Jones. Neither here nor there.
A lot of Pam haters out there on the internet. This is the common thread.
But overall, one of the formative shows of that era of my life.
So
sure.
I also watched it in college, and I remember it just felt really innovative then. I mean, that style, the fake documentary, has been used a lot since then.
Yeah.
Abbott Elementary is kind of like, there's similarities to The Office, but then they took it in a new
Yeah.
direction. Modern Family, also used
Mm.
that so it's but at the time, The Office, it was. I didn't watch the British show, the original,
Right.
Ricky Gervais. So I remember just being like, wow, I thought it was so funny too.
Yes.
I
Yes.
just, I think that was the first thing that jumped out to me, is just how old the format felt, like
Yeah.
how dated it felt, like from another time.
Yeah.
And by the end, I actually found that kind of soothing, and I found a lot about the show soothing. I could just use the word soothing. I watched the final 2 episodes while getting my hair and makeup done.
Mm.
I said this to you, and like everybody was just kind of like laughing, and
Yeah.
like it was just like a nice, smooth watch by the end. I think I felt like the show hit its stride a little bit at that point.
Mm.
First episode, I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I was kind of, it was kind of rough early going for me.
Yeah. It was a hard watch from the beginning. Like at the beginning, like when I watched the first couple episodes, I was like, I don't know if we were going to make it to 10 by, whenever in a week or so. And I'm reminded of like another show that we should mention is Parks and Rec, which this also feels like an offshoot of that. I've seen like reviews say this is if The Office and Parks and Rec had a baby. And to me, I remember Parks and Rec taking a while to find itself. I remember the first season, I did not like the first season. I remember the first season had rough reviews, and did not feel like it was going to be a successful show. And then it found its stride. Really, it found its stride in the characters. Like it found who the characters were. And I think that the paper got to that point, like 7, 8, like we started to really define who these people were.
Resonating with me. I have a theory, which is I think part of the reason this show did not work at the beginning, or it was a little bit like, at the beginning. The closest thing, so there's a very clear Jim Pam in the show. Ned Sampson, Domhnall Gleeson's character, he's just like, he actually, one thing I found interesting, it's a little bit of a different dynamic. Jim and Pam were like very similar. They were both very straight, sarcastic. I can't believe we're surrounded by this. They share that
chemistry. And this may be what you get into. The chemistry, The Office was already happening. Like we're not. I mean, they're establishing characters.
New, but they had been.
They know each other, and they already had these dynamics, stuff like that. And you're building a dynamic from scratch here.
So it's a little bit of a different dynamic too, because Ned Sampson, Gleeson's character, is like this idealistic. He kind of grew up rich. They make a lot of jokes about that.
Is it just me? You would know this better than I do. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Pablo, a little Pablo Torre, like the way
Pablo Torre, I can see that,
like a little, like just
know you're gonna go
like the mannerisms and kind of like like a more exaggerated idealism about journalism, but still like this, like the way that he talks and acts is kind of reminds of Pablo.
He's very different from the Pam in this show, Mayor, who is much more like the Pam, honestly, on the other show, very like the straight woman, the only competent person there, former military, which I think was kind of an interesting decision. Yeah. But that's not why I thought it didn't work. We'll get to that relationship, which is like the core of the show. We can talk about it. The reason I think this show was a struggle early on is the Dwight corollary, and it's not really perfect, is this woman Esmeralda. So when he comes in, he's taking over the paper and trying to turn it into a real newspaper. Before Ned arrives, it's just like very crappy. They just run wire stories, and then she posts clickbait online. So I say she's a Dwight corollary in that she is the agent of chaos, the foil to Ned, and she's the most extra character, right? And that's who Dwight was. The problem was, for me, I just didn't think she was funny. And it was so much of her early in the show, and I thought, this is not working for me. And then she gets sidelined a little bit as it goes on, and it gets better.
I think she's one of the worst characters I've seen in a long time. I hated everything about. I did not enjoy the plots that she was a part of. Again, I like you said, I didn't think she was funny at all. The thing where she had the dream that the dude made out with, and like it was such a stupid thing, and like the even and there was no real development or anything. Like she still faints at the end. Like there was nothing
terrible from start to finish.
It was terrible from start to finish. No real. I mean, we see her kid. We see the thing about her being scammed and all that stuff. But to me, she was one of the more annoying characters that I could think of in the show, and I think she kind of dragged everything down.
and especially at the beginning, right? Because
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
she was like she like spread a lie about him being Me Too. She
yeah,
like made
yeah,
him late for me. It was just like I was like, I don't want to watch this dynamic.
yeah,
This isn't doing it for me. But then she gets sidelined a little bit, and that's I think was a big part of why. And it's not. I'm not blaming the actress per se. She was
yeah.
on the White Lotus Italian season. I don't know if you remember
Okay,
her. I just think the character was not like you
just
said.
that character.
Well,
Yeah,
these types of shows, I think you hit it. The characters have to sing. You have to
yeah,
really like them and get
mm,
invested. And there were a few characters that I did get invested in by the end. The minor characters, like I loved the Nicole Detrick storyline.
okay, yeah,
So Detrick was the salesman who falls in love with Nicole, who's the Asian woman who's like, I don't even know what her job was,
yeah.
but she is not interested in a relationship. I like that dynamic, like him being like really over the like I found that I don't know, like kind of I found both those characters they both had scenes that made me laugh,
Yeah,
which I got invested in them. I mean, we'll get to the main two in a second. Were there any other characters that you liked in this or got invested in?
I kind of like those characters. I know you liked what the
Marv.
Marv
That
Marv.
episode was so interesting to
Yeah,
me
that was
because
an interesting episode,
yeah,
and sort of the reveal later about him being, like that was kind of a
in
interesting,
love
that
with his
dynamic. Yeah,
assistant. Yeah,
yeah. I think that there's some good stuff there, and
agree.
I do like the fact that it was already renewed. I think they already. I think this is a show that you'll kind of look back on season one and be like, okay, they were working out the
They were
kinks, and I
finding
think
its footing. Yeah.
season two will get better.
Okay, so now we can talk about so Hugh sent me a text. So it's like, similar to Pam and Jim. This is a romantic comedy
Yeah.
energy. It's core love story between Ned and Mayor.
Mhm.
You didn't think this worked at all.
I don't buy it. I just don't buy. I think that
Which part did you not buy?
I just didn't think there was any romantic chemistry there. They just didn't feel, and then she did. He totally does not. Also, I just didn't see why they she likes him at all.
Yeah.
I didn't see. I just didn't see it. It just did like the road trip was
yeah.
like where she was getting the award and he's like freaking. I just did not. I think that it would be to me more of a compelling thing to do if they are best friends. Like I think there's something like about a real deal friendship. And they have their own relationships. Like I think that there is that this works so much better as friends. I mean, like for how I Met Your Mother for the first few seasons was like there was a romantic thing that turned into like them being like really good friends, and I thought that was more compelling than the relationship last season, which we don't speak about. But I think sometimes sometimes the thing that's more logical is just that these two people can just be really good friends.
So I'm a little bit softer on it than you. I actually thought in the road trip scene where they were laughing and like I felt like there were moments where I could see it a little bit. It wasn't like overpowering. My sense, and they get together at the end, right? If you've listened to this, you know that they finally at the end make out. I felt like it just happened too quick.
Yeah.
I think my sense wasn't that like there was no chemistry. I just thought they played it a little too fast in the series. Like Jim and Pam took a second, man. Like that was, and it felt so earned by the time it happened. I don't think this one felt as earned. I think there's a potential to do something interesting, which is like probably have them break up immediately or not be together, even though they kissed. Yeah. And then the kiss kind of sets up the sexual chemistry from that point on. So I think they can bounce back from playing this hand a little too early. Yeah, it was just like I was like, "Ooh, we're really gonna do this right away?" Like
it felt like a thing that you do when you don't know that your show is going to get renewed. When you do it, like you kind of throw it out there because you want to have a hook or something for the next season. But it just didn't do it for me. I was not moved by it.
How did you feel generally about the way this depicted like local news and journalism? So this is again, the show's about it's not really about journalism per se.
Yeah,
it's about like a very incompetent newspaper and people learning how to do it, and and kind of getting journalism wins along the way and learning how to report and finding stuff out. Do you feel like the show had anything like to say, I suppose, about the state of local news and journalism?
So I thought there was like some intrigue about like corporations and journalism, and then the flashbacks to the journalism. I was actually I did not understand that the premise was what it was when I started watching it. I thought much like The Office, you were talking about an established company that had been around that's kind of on its last leg. So I thought we were going into an actual newsroom with journalists, with people who had been working at the paper, who maybe veterans or new or things like that. And what we got was kind of like Bad News Bears version of journalism, right? Where he's trying to do this makeshift thing with people who are not journalists and teaching the basics of journalists. And there's like one actual journalist there, or person who's capable of doing that, and then the veteran who just kind of doesn't care anymore. So I was a little, I guess disappointed, but that was my own expectation about it, was that like I thought we were just going to jump into an actual newsroom, which lends itself, because The Office at its heart was really about the recession, right? Like it really was about people being worried about their jobs and, you know, companies like that are becoming, you know, obsolete, right? And I thought that's where we're getting with this, and it turned into kind of something else.
Yeah, it did turn into something else. I don't think it was making like a profound commentary on journalism or the state of local news or whatever, so much as I thought it was about, for me anyways, my takeaway was it was about how like your life, but like people finding meaning in work.
Yeah.
That was kind of because at the beginning of the series, everybody hates their jobs.
Yeah.
Like, they're just showing up. They're just, you know, putting wire service articles in there. And by the end, they're all like engaged and alive in a way they aren't. They just feel dead at the beginning of the series. And they kind of come back. All these little characters kind of come to life in a way. And they find whether it's Oscar and the puzzle or like, but they all like have these, Nicole getting to be on TV. Even the scene, there is one scene where Esmeralda actually helps report a story, and you see her like the one where she gets Mayor to dress up and to get the guy at the trivia night to spill. You see her kind of coming alive, and like it's just it I think that is, you talk about the opposite of the recession. I think like there's a moment now, especially with like technology and artificial intelligence taking over jobs, where a lot of people are questioning like, does my job even have value? What am I doing here? And I felt like watching this, it was like a lot of people finding value in work, which was kind of cool.
Yeah, it was. I mean, and even Ned himself, who like was really good at this sales stuff, as we saw.
I love the scene where they showed that, by the way.
I thought it was really cool.
He was such a dork, and it was like, no, let's show this guy. Let's let him cook for a little bit.
Yeah, that was really cool, especially because we'd already seen him with like the slick back hair, and he was doing those things. And I thought, and so this moment where he was actually selling it was really cool, and just like, but that's not his passion. Like he was good at it, and they were doing that. But the thing is, he wants to tell the news and tell these stories. So question for you. Did you laugh out loud a lot watching this?
No. Yeah. So and I thought, did I laugh out loud watching The Office early? And again, it was a long time ago. I think it was just Dwight. Was the guy who really made me, over the time, all the other characters really fleshed out. I mean, you know, like Angela was so ridiculous. Oscar was great.
I will say, was it the second episode, maybe the first episode, second episode was the like racial icebreaker thing where he had people like say a race.
Oh God, The Office. That was such a fun. That was a fun.
That was season 1. I think it was like episode 2 or something like that. You know, like that was where he does the Chris Rock bit and the thing. Like that's an absolutely hilarious episode early on.
Yeah, I think that was the show. It was a lot of like light chuckle kind of vibes.
Yeah.
And there were some scenes too by the end, especially where I did enjoy some of the things that happened. But yeah, I did feel like it was not as funny as The Office. And I think Esmeralda was a big part of why. Like if you're gonna have one agent of chaos, it's gotta work. And Dwight is, you know, one of the best television characters of all time. I mean, it was just so insane that like, I mean, everything about that character just was like it's just so bonkers. And this just worked for me.
I didn't even think of her as Dwight, like a Dwight comparison. That's how much like the character, like until you just mentioned it now, I hadn't thought of her as a comp to him, because she just feels like something that's just, I thought it could have done either somebody better or without her totally.
Yeah, and then like the other villainous boss, the Ken Davies character wasn't that funny. It just didn't work for me. I actually laughed more with like I said, some of like the Nicole, Travis, Dietrich, like the other minor characters. I thought got more laughs out of me. I think in some, I don't know. At first, I was like, really, like the first episode, I was like, I don't know, man, this is gonna be a slog. And by the end, I was kind of like cooking a little bit. I was like, oh, it's just like a nice. There's just so few shows like this that are just kind of like gentle watches these days.
I think Abbott Elementary is like the gold standard
The
of.
only one though,
It's
dude.
the only,
Like,
it's like I'm sure there's like shows on CBS, but
yeah.
like I think, but I mean everybody watches it. They have like all the highest ratings and all that stuff. But to me, because also it's interesting enough, like we started watching like Fresh Prince here in the house, like to expose my son to Fresh Prince, and it's like
How does that age?
So Fresh Prince actually, first of all, the first season, way more like sort of black as hell than I remember. Like they're doing like Amiri Baraka quotes and stuff in there, and trying to do like Black History in Will's class. It's like a lot more than I remembered. But it's sort of to your point, like you were talking about, like pleasant or just peaceful or just like joy. Fresh Prince had its serious episodes too, but Abbott Elementary, I think, has just hit this stride of carrying on this legacy of just like you laugh. You may not necessarily, be in tears laughing every episode, but you laugh, you enjoy it, and then it's just good to have. It's just good for everybody to watch. And I think we're just kind of missing that. And I think there was a little bit of this show where I wasn't like, okay, let me just turn my brain off, but it was more so just kind of like, I'm not going to worry as much about like character development and things like that, and just like enjoy kind of a show.
I really felt it watching it in the group, like I said, where everybody was just like kind of like laughing, and I don't know, it was just like, oh, this is nice.
Yeah. There's something to be said about like filling in that space of, because we used to just watch nice things,
like chill.
We used to like watch like freaking like Step by Step, I don't know.
No, it's so
and
true.
we just kind of have. It's the way that we, as critics, like watch shows, or the way people talk about shows, that you need to have this avant-garde sort of feel to a lot of the things. But there's something to be said about a show that's just kind of pleasant. Like New Girl was pleasant, like we just don't get that as much.
Yeah, I completely agree. New Girl though used to make me laugh, man.
Yeah,
it was really seasoned. Yeah. But a big part of that was they had their Schmidt. Dwight. Like you get the Abbott Elementary principal. Like there's no one in this show now who's like a true like chaos agent. Everyone on the shows has like a chaos agent who's just ridiculous, and they got to either improve on that character or find a new one for me to really.
I think they think Ned might be that guy, but you're right. You need a funny man. You need a funny guy. You need like a one person who is like, who just bats 1,000 every time they're out there,
and they're just ridiculous.
Something's funny.
Yeah. I can't be like a woman. Like, I don't know. It was. No, I feel bad because I like the actress. All right, so that was The Paper. Go check it out on Peacock. Even if you honestly listen to this, you'd still enjoy it. It's not like great spoilers. So that was our chill, gentle show. We will get back to face huggers and eyeball aliens next week. We just decided going to talk about Task on HBO, which does not feel chill at all, but seems very good. I love shows like that. So next week, Alien episode 7, I believe. And then we're also going to talk about the first 2 episodes of Task on HBO. Go check that out. And
the Love Is Blind countdown. They released it. The cast is out. They put the cast on the Instagram.
I haven't looked at the cast bios yet.
Like some late 30s in there. Some people with jobs and stuff. We got something to fight for. So
I like.